Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Lena and I make college and book related content here on YouTube, and today I'll be sharing with you some tips for studying abroad. Or maybe you didn't see my videos this past fall, you won't know that I actually studied abroad in Toulouse, France for the fall semester, so 2021. I am a English literature and Francophone studies double major, and so I studied in France to really get a lot of work and credit towards my French major, but also to really push myself to become much more fluent in the French language, because I knew that staying at university and doing my college classes and my French classes in an American university would not get me to the level that I wanted to be at, and that is very true. I learned so much and my fluency increased exponentially in France. Just for some context, obviously the pandemic is still going on, and in fall 2021 our university made the rule that yes, we could study abroad in France. And yes, I was in a homestay and I attended class at both the CIE program and then also at a French university. It was the Catholic Institute of Toulouse. So there were rules about traveling, so we could only travel within the borders of France for much of the semester until I think maybe like the last few weeks or so. And then there were also just a lot of aspects of the program that were altered or different because of COVID. But all in all, we were able to enjoy a vast variety of experiences. We got to do so much. I got to spend the full 4 months there, and I really got to experience the culture and everything that comes along with it. So in this video, I'm going to share with you 5 tips for your study abroad experience, because I know before I was about to study abroad, I was trying to look up all the videos and see what I could learn, and I think I'm going to make a little mini series this summer to help those who are studying abroad do some prep. So I think maybe in some future videos I'll do a greater expansion upon maybe packing, because I know that was a big stressor for me, and maybe a video that goes into more of my personal experience, because this is more tips that I think will be more universal for everyone. But I can always make a video if you're interested in my personal experience and kind of the highs and lows and the overall of the semester. I will also link the playlist of all my videos in Toulouse down below if you want to check those out. The intro is getting kind of long, but if you have any questions throughout this video, feel free to leave them down in the comments below or DM me on Instagram, LenaDiane_reads. I think that's my Instagram. I hope it is. But without further ado, let's get into the video. My first tip revolves around packing. So packing is very stressful, especially when you are going abroad and you know that you won't have access to a lot of things that you would normally have in your hometown, home state, home country, whatever it might be. And so it can be very hard to kind of minimize your packing. So I can make a whole video on this, as I mentioned earlier, but I would say there are some things that, based upon my research and my experience, I think are non-negotiables. If there are special products that you rely on, I'm talking about toiletries and things like that, for any of your self-care regime, so whether that's shampoo, conditioner, body lotion, specific hair products, anything that you can imagine. If there's something so specific and you know that it's going to be hard to find wherever you're going, or you know that you don't want to stress about finding it, then bring enough to last you the 4 months or however long you're there. So for me, I really did not care about shampoo and conditioner. I don't care about my hair, and I knew I could get toothpaste and all that stuff, but I knew that deodorant was a non-negotiable, which sounds kind of silly, but I've had so many allergic reactions to deodorant, so I brought enough deodorant to last for the entire semester, and then I just brought travel size shampoo and conditioner to get me through little travel adventures, or just the first week or so while I was trying to find shampoo and conditioner that worked for me. Going back on it, I will say, anyone who studied abroad with me in that semester knows that finding shampoo was a journey for me. It was really hard. Turns out my hair does not like a lot of different kinds of shampoo, because I've just used the same shampoo my whole life. And so that was kind of a struggle, and it took me probably 2 months to find the shampoo that I actually needed for my hair, so that was a struggle, but I eventually got there and did find a shampoo that worked wonderfully. So just, you have to be willing to make those sacrifices and prioritize which toiletries matter most. I'll also say for packing, pack a lot of essentials, versatile pieces, basics. I brought this shirt, for example, because I could go with a lot of different outfits. I planned a variety of outfits in my mind and tried to figure out what goes with what. try to go with like your own personal style, but also be aware of the culture you're going into. There's a lot to consider. Like for example, shorts like were not really recommended to be worn at the Catholic Institute, so I didn't really bring shorts. I just brought a pair of athletic shorts, but that was it. And I wore mostly skirts and dresses and pants. So just those things keep in mind, and then bring lots of layers. Before I went to Toulouse, I went on and looked at the weather patterns for Toulouse. I knew it was going to be hotter than where I live because I live in the northeast, but I just kind of wanted to know like how long it stayed warm and what their falls were like. And so based upon that, I got a better idea of like how many winter clothes I need to bring and how many spring summer clothes I need to bring, because the fall semester, obviously you have summer weather, warm weather, and then you quickly get into like November, December where it gets colder. This also helped me choose like what kind of a winter coat I wanted to bring, if I should bring a raincoat, things like that. And so I ended up wearing spring summer clothes basically until like mid-October comfortably. So it was definitely something that you want to look at and kind of get a feel for that. Last thing I would recommend packing is at least one pair of good walking shoes. Don't bring shoes that are uncomfortable. Like just don't do it. I brought a pair of shoes that I'd never worn in my life, and that was a mistake for a multitude of reasons, and maybe I'll talk about that in my packing video, but those shoes really did me in many, many different ways. My second tip is to make a plan. When you get to wherever you're studying abroad, it's going to be stressful. There's so many things coming at you at once. There's so many new things to try, to do, to explore. However, there are some things that are going to matter more to you, and there's some places that maybe you've always dreamed of visiting, or something that you know you have to do before you leave France. So whether that's trying some food, going to see a certain museum or a certain chateau or something like that, whatever it may be, make a plan, make a list, plan it out. Look at your semester, figure out when your vacations are, when you want to do certain things, when you might be in a certain area that maybe specializes in the food you want to try. Just look at all of that, prioritize, make a plan. Yes, that is a spider coming down right next to me. Yes, terrifying. For me, that involved a couple different things. For my vacation week, I ended up doing research that entire week, but that still required a lot of planning. So it was funded research through my university, but I still had to do all the bookings and plan and make the arrangements for that. And then also I did look ahead for my whole semester, and after I did my vacation travel by myself independently, I realized I could travel independently, and so I looked at the rest of my semester and I realized I had a free weekend, and so I booked a trip to Avignon, which I adored so much. That trip was honestly probably one of the highlights for me, and I'm so grateful I did that trip. I highly recommend traveling by yourself, and it really was a beautiful experience. Don't wait to make bookings. The longer you wait, typically prices go up, especially if it's in like vacation times. Like I had this notebook, this is a Monet print, but no, I didn't buy it in France. I bought it at the MoMA, I think. And like I made a list of all the places that I had visited, all the different cities, and then I also like used this as like a timetable of like how my schedule is going to work, because definitely for my research week, everything was like really timed out, like to the minute, because I had so many things to do and I was trying to get the most amount of experience and time for my money. So that is my second tip. My third tip is related to money and budgeting. Studying abroad is kind of daunting in the sense of, you know, you're going to spend a lot of money. Like you're facing that, and part of you wants to spend the money to get all those experiences, because you know, like once you go back to the States, being able to hop on a train and go to this really cool place just won't exist. You'll have to fly back over, which is thousands of dollars. However, you still should have a budget. Like budgets exist for a reason, and as a college student, I think they are so important. So for me, we got our breakfasts and suppers provided by our homestay families, and then we had to pay for our own lunches. But my home university in the States actually gave us a stipend for our lunches, because like that is technically like what we pay for like our like meal plan. So I got a stipend of $1,200 for the semester, and so I did the math of like how much money I could be spending on my lunch, like my meals, and then I basically spent less than that every single day. My goal was to spend half of it, so I think I had like $11 or $12 I could spend on lunch every day, and I tried every day to get like a $4 sandwich. Like truly $4 to $6 was like my budget. Maybe I got a little pastry or something else, and that allowed me to use my stipend for other things. And so I would know that, like, oh, this is how much like I can spend in a week, and then I would kind of move around that. So if people wanted to go out to eat at a restaurant and get a $20 meal, it was okay because I knew that I had the room and the space for that in my budget. So really just looking long term at the whole semester of what you can spend, and also being aware of like what is your own money and then what is like the stipend, or any other support money that you've received. So for my other money, I knew that I had put a certain amount aside for Christmas presents for my family and friends. So I was very cognizant of that when I was purchasing their gifts, and I knew how much I had allotted for each person, and things like that. And then I also just had certain times, like when I went to Avignon, or when I went up to my research in Brittany, that I was going to spend. I didn't really put a cap on it. I was like, I'm just going to enjoy my time here. I'm going to get any souvenirs that really speak to me, or any little things to remember this trip that I love. Within reason, of course. I wasn't walking around buying hundreds of dollars of things, but when I saw that postcard that I loved, of course I bought it, because I gave myself more flexibility in that. To know when to splurge, know when something's special to you, know when this is something that like you're going to want and be sad that you didn't bring it home. Like for example, I bought a ridiculously expensive book in English because I wanted a book for the plane ride home, and I don't regret that at all, and I absolutely love that book. So just kind of know where that goes. And then the other thing is, in Europe specifically, but probably other places as well, there are so many student discounts. Like people under the age of 26, I think, like you can do things for free oftentimes, or for like a handful of euros. I went to 2 classical music concerts for €5, and like they were renowned orchestras that were playing. Like it was insane. And then like I would get to go to other events for free just cuz. And so I would definitely say look for the student discounts as well, and just keep in mind your whole semester's budget and make commitments to yourself of, this is how much I have for the whole semester to spend, and this is what I'm going to do. My 4th tip is to explore the place you live in. I studied abroad in Toulouse. I didn't know much about Toulouse before I went to Toulouse, and so I wanted to explore as much as I possibly could. So this means going to those museums, going to those monuments or special events that the city is hosting, whether they're free or just a couple euros to go to, going to farmers markets or craft fairs, going on the different events that your program has planned for you, whether that's little tours through the different areas of the city or things like that. This also means finding a favorite cafe to hang out at. Yes, you can play the tourist and go to all the museums and that kind of thing, but also find a place where you can almost feel like a local. Will you be a local? Absolutely not. But feel a place where you can get in a rhythm where you get the same thing every day. So for me, there was like 2 different cafes that we visited a lot because they were a good price, they had a good ambiance, and really great people who worked there and were so kind to us. So finding places that you really love and enjoy are recognized every time you go in because you're there for a while, so people will start to know you. Also, walk around the city. Walk, walk, walk. That's why I said bring good walking shoes. If you're walking, you'll explore so many little nooks and crannies. You'll discover little places that you've never heard of. That was how I discovered that there was an English bookstore in Toulouse. I'd heard about it online, but I had never really figured out where it was. And then one day I was walking to the convent of the Jacobins in a different way that we'd gone before, and there it was all of a sudden. So I marked it down so I could go back to it later. So you just discover so many really cool things when you're walking on by foot. My 5th tip is to journal. So I've been journaling every year of my life, basically. We did like in-school journaling for 1st through 3rd grade. My mom always made us do summer journaling when we were younger, and then after 3rd grade I started buying journals for myself and journaling, and then it's just been going ever since then. So basically I buy a new journal every single year. So for Toulouse, I bought this journal. I love the Studio O deconstructed spines just because of how they lay flat. And I've had this type of journal for like, I think at some point I got them in middle school. So like a solid like 6 years, probably, no, like 8 years maybe, I don't know. It's been a long time. I got this pattern because something about the mermaids and the pink just like screamed Toulouse/Southern France to me. I guess it's because like the ocean, and Toulouse is called the Pink City. That's not a great connection. I didn't know much about Toulouse before I went, but I got a journal and I journaled as frequently as I possibly could during my time abroad. I would recommend you journal about the things you did. It's always good to remember when you went and saw that really cool thing or had a croissant for the first time or something like that. But also you want to journal how you're feeling, the highs and lows. There are a lot of highs and lows when you're studying abroad. And when I go back through this, like this journal has so much, you can really see the journey I went on. Like when I was feeling great, like I was like, I know French, people are so great here. And then like a couple days later, I'd be like, I want to go home. I don't want to be here anymore. People are terrible and I'm sick of the French language. So you really get to see that journey, and it's a great way to remember your time there. Obviously take pictures and do things like that, but I just think journaling is great. Obviously for the mental health support as well, just being able to process your emotions and how you're feeling, but also just as a record of this is my time spent in France and these are the things that I felt and saw and experienced. Those are my 5 tips for studying abroad. Hopefully they helped you out at all. If you're studying abroad this fall or this year, let me know down in the comments below. Also put any questions that you have. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I will see you all next week.